volume recording. Okay, تفضل محمد فسيح.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم سبحان رب السماوات السبع ورب العرش العظيم لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم سبحان رب السماوات السبع ورب العرش العظيم لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم سبحان رب السماوات السبع ورب العرش العظيم بفضلك دعواهم فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحياتهم فيها السلام آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.
الحمد لله الحمد لله.
Buddha, I think your video is not on you. Just check it on.
Is it not on?
Okay, it's on now. Shukran.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So when we talk about sincerity, one can go through a long definition of what the dictionary says and so on. But we're going to focus specifically in so much that sincerity as far as it relates to our deen. Now, sincerity is the very, very basis on which Iman and Taqwa is built. Without sincerity, one cannot develop true Iman and Taqwa. It cannot be judged. It cannot be judged by words or outward actions alone. How we judge sincerity, and sincerity, let's make it very clear, can only be judged by what is in the heart, and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone knows what is in the heart. Not even the malaika knows what's in the heart. So if we start from there, it seems that our belief system as Muslims depends to a great extent on this quality of sincerity. Now, when we say none, including ourselves, should be made a partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it means that whatever we say, whatever we do, whatever our intentions are, it should be purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There should be no personal benefit that accrues to us or to another person or anything that is other than Allah. When we do things, we should reach that point in our lives and in our belief where we do things, whatever it is, purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah makes it clear that if you do things for other than Allah, then they have been given a share in something which belongs to Allah alone. And that is not something that Allah will allow. And therefore, whatever action, no matter how good it might appear to us, it will not be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you have a share in it as a person, or any other person or other thing, or whatever the other is, have a share in it, and that's the reason why you've done it, then know that that is not something that will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's a hadith Qudsi. We know what a hadith Qudsi is where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. He speaks in his own words, so one cannot say that this is Quran. It falls in between the normal hadith and the Quran. It's where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaks to us in his own words what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him. And Allah says, I am so self-sufficient that I am in no need of having partners. Thus, whoever does an action for someone else's sake, as well as mine, will have that action rejected by me. Seek your reward from him whom you have associated with me. That requires very little explanation. It's fairly obvious. Now, how many times are we not guilty of doing exactly this? We do it for Allah's sake, yes, but there's also some other motive of why we have done it. Either for the benefit of ourselves or for the benefit of somebody else. It's scary to think that if we are truly honest with ourselves, then we are guilty of having ascribed partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have set ourselves up as partners when we say we do things for Allah, but yet we have done it for some other motive as well. Now, Imam Ghazali, rahmatullah alayhi, said, those who did things for someone else's sake will have their deeds thrust back in their faces on the day of judgment. May Allah protect us. May Allah protect us from this. You did it for someone else's sake or for your own sake. Whatever good it might have been will be thrust back in your face. It will have no value for you. No, the good that you think you accumulated will be thrust back in your face. So when we say, I am doing things for Allah's sake, how many people use this so easily, all the time? Why did you do it? I did it for Allah's sake. It's easy to utter, but often there are other motives why people may have done whatever it is that they have done. And to give false impressions to others around us, but you're using Allah's name, is a grave, grave, grave sin. Let me go on. Now, one of the ways we said earlier when we started these sessions on purification of the heart, we said that the truth is often hidden in the opposites. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we open with this hadith, said that there are three other signs of a hypocrite. When he speaks, he lies. When he makes a promise, he breaks it. And when he's trusted, he betrays his trust. That sounds very extreme. And it might sound as if that applies to hypocrites. It doesn't belong to us. But when we examine truly and honestly, there might be hints of what is contained there. And it doesn't mean all three must be present. If we are guilty of any one of these things, you fall in that category of being defined and or described as a hypocrite. And may Allah protect us. Now, the opposite of sincerity, we said sometimes to acquire a particular quality or characteristic, it's sometimes not easy to define. Like in this case, we want to be sincere. Now, to describe what is sincerity and then to try and develop that, sometimes it's too technical or too difficult. And one of the easy ways to assist us is to look at what's the opposite of that, what you should fight and avoid and protect yourself against. And that's what we're going to list now quickly. Hypocrisy. Generally, people understand what hypocrisy is. And what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in the hadith above, about lying and promises and trust and all of that. These are people who cannot be trusted to do what they claim or what they profess to believe. You can't take what they say because they are, they speak with a forked tongue. I don't know if that's a commonly understood phrase. He speaks with a forked tongue. In other words, he says this, but he means that. There's dishonesty and lying, I think, is fairly obvious, but we can sometimes lie not just to others. We lie to ourselves. We fool ourselves and we're dishonest with ourselves. And worst of all, we lie and we are dishonest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah always knows whether we are lying or whether we are telling the truth. Because Allah sees right into that which motivates you to say whatever it is that you are going to say. Deviousness is where you try to hide what you are doing so that others don't see, and you try and do it, like they say, underhanded, or you may have heard the saying, that when one person wants to bribe another, they give the thing under the table. That's a good expression to capture what deviousness is. On the face of it, it looks like that, but there's a lot of underhanded activity also at play, which might not be obvious to others. Being false or fraudulent, deceptive, fooling others around you. Just remember, all of these things, Allah is aware. We can try and do whatever we can, but Allah knows what the true situation is. And one of the signs of a person who is insincere is they are generally untrustworthy. They will make promises that they don't keep. They're unreliable, they're undependable, because they don't sincerely want to do what they want to do. A person who is sincerely not able to carry out either the trust or the reliability or the dependability because of a good reason, obviously doesn't fall in that category. If you've got a very good reason of why you could not carry out the trust or for people to rely on you because of your good reason, then that is understood. But we're talking about people who are generally, for no reason that force them to do that. They are just generally untrustworthy and unreliable. Now, if we were just to take all of these, hypocrisy, dishonesty, deviousness, false and fraudulent, untrustworthy, unreliable, undependable, if we can just protect our hearts from these qualities, Just don't even do anything else. Just protect your heart from any of these things that's been listed here. Then you've gone a tremendously long way already to becoming a sincere person. If you can rid your heart from these qualities and you're not guilty of that, then you are well on the way of becoming a truly sincere person. Now, what I've done, I've just quickly just listed it in a clip. Basically the same stuff. Where we say sincerity. Now we say hypocrisy, deviousness, untrustworthy, dishonest, lying, false, underhanded, and sly. If you look at this, then you can and you ask yourself, if I apply this to my own character and the kind of person that I am, then you will say, no, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not that, and I'm not that. It's easy to say it. But if you examine honestly and sincerely what is deep inside your heart and whether you are completely free of this. There are times when we do things that's devious. We give the impression that this is what we want to do, but in reality, our motive is completely something else. You pretend. Sometimes you tell lies. And there are times when you're not reliable. Now, even if you have a hint of these things, any of these things that's listed here, it could be more, but I've just put up these now for now. What are the hallmarks of an insincere person? These are the things, but even if you have a hint of it, it means you've got work to do to protect yourself from eradicating, removing, and eliminating these things from your heart. Don't fool yourself. You can fool me and somebody else and the people around you, whoever that it is that you've been insincere towards and maybe got away with it for years and will maybe get away until you die. But Allah knows what is in the heart. And if you are insincere, what did we say right at the beginning? It affects your iman and your taqwa. So look for these things. Don't just sit here in these sessions. Go back to the slide. Look at the qualities of insincere people and people who are referred to as hypocrites, and ask yourself, are you completely free of all of these things? You do that exercise. Nobody need know about the outcome of your introspection, but do it with honesty. And if you find there are things, then deal with it. So that was the opposite of sincerity. Now we come to sincerity. Now, sincerity in Islam, when we talk about it, it's divided into two components: belief and actions, or behavior and conduct. Now, belief, when we talk about belief, we talk about our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the rock bed. It's the foundation on which our identities as Muslims, as believers, is built. How we believe in Allah. What when we say La ilaha illallah, there is no other God but Allah. We've done Tawheed. We've spent a lot of time in the past on trying to understand who Allah is, and Allah is known by the 20 sifats, and the names of Allah. If we know the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we say we believe in Allah, then that can't just be an empty statement that's made there. It comes with a lot of other things. Your understanding of who Allah is, that Allah is the only one who has the ability to make things happen. When we say power belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is all powerful. It means that nothing else has power, including you, when you want to do things. So when we talk about belief in Allah, it can't be an insincere statement. It goes right back to the kalima. It goes right back to our understanding of Tawheed and who Allah is. So treat this quality as something that requires a lot of attention. We all need to improve on our level of sincerity. We'll come to some things towards the end of this door of sincerity, where we will come up with some practical suggestions. Don't fool yourself to say you are sincere. I would like to be sincere. Strive to become sincere. And how do you do that? First, yes, your belief in Allah. Now Allah instructs you to do things in a particular way, and that is directly linked to your actions, your behavior. How have you taken what the one that you say you believe in, with all those qualities, instructed you to do certain things and to refrain from doing other things? And we're not talking about killing people only and doing major bad things. It's even simple things like slander and being unkind and unjust to people around you. Do you really have sincerity in all your actions? So when we talk about sincerity in Islam, is divided into two: the way we believe and the way we act. Whatever we do, we're all very familiar with this hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, verily actions are judged by their intentions, and every person will only have what they intended. You know, it's something that I've heard since I was a very, very young child. I wasn't even mukallaf then when I came across this already. So it's something that your parents tell you, the people around you tell you, your teachers tell you, you tell it to other people, you use this. But what there's levels of understanding this hadith, but the basic level is you've intended that, you will get that. But what this actually says is that if the intention, what is the intention? That's your niyyah. That is linked directly to sincerity. The intention of why you are doing something. If you did it to impress somebody, or to be praised, or to be given recognition by somebody, and you've done something extremely good in that person's eyes, and the person is impressed, then that's what you did it for. You can't claim that you've done good. You've done a good deed in order to get praise and recognition from that person. That was your intention. You may have hidden it from the person, but you know what's in your heart. Generally, sometimes it becomes a bit wishy-washy. It's a bit of this and a bit of that. We'll touch on that later on. But you will only get what you intended, what your niyyah was, what your objective was, whether it is public or whether it is hidden or secretive. So your intention reflects the why. And that is why Nia, your motive, the goal, the objective, the reason, the why is very important. And Allah says that if you don't have sincerity in doing it for Allah's sake, then Allah will reject it. Now the heart is where all the intentions, they are created in the heart. The mind plays a role in shaping whatever, but the intention, the desire to do or not to do, it is something that comes from the heart. It comes from outside of, I would almost say outside of your material being. It's that other side of you. It's that part which is connected to the ghaib. It's connected to the unseen. That's the place where your intentions are formed. It's then transmitted to the mind, and the mind instructs the body to behave in a particular way. But intentions are formed in the final instance in the heart. That's why when we say we must purify our hearts, even if we drop everything else and we of what we've said in the past on this topic and what will follow about the other qualities, make sure you pay attention to this one. Because if you are not sincere, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you've done things for the sake of yourself, to show others, or to get people's recognition, then it doesn't count for much. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is something that you've all heard also. The body, there's a piece of flesh. If it's sound, the whole body is sound, and if it's corrupt, the whole body is corrupt. Truly, it is the heart. Now, this is a hadith, and hadith must be understood as Allah speaking through his prophet to us, communicating to all levels of people. Now, the piece of flesh that is being referred to here, which refers to the heart, which is made up of flesh and blood, that thing that people have transplants about, or have transplant, one heart is transplanted into another person. It's not that piece of flesh only that what we should extract from this hadith. It says that thing in which your ruh resides, where your intentions and your niyyah is formed. That is what Rasulullah is referring to. If that is sound, then whatever comes from the body will be sound. And if it's not sound, it means that what you will be doing, what you will be saying, and your interaction, because it is corrupt, it will manifest in displeasing, evil, bad behavior and conduct. It's quite clear, or it should be, that good, sincere conduct cannot come from a heart that's filthy and dirty. Now, how is a heart filthy and dirty? Why? I mean, how do you judge what is in the heart? We can't see the heart. It's the heart that we are talking is the spiritual heart. If it's filled with all those other qualities that we mentioned earlier in the slide, hypocrisy, deviousness, unreliable, insincere, false, deceptive, that is the heart. So if we want to purify the heart, can we see the importance of removing all those horrible, terrible, detestable qualities from the heart. So it's not something that can be physically be taken out. Generally, it is something that one needs to have a complete different attitude towards things, and then change your actions so that it can't be categorized as falling into any of those other qualities that we've mentioned earlier. Then what I've done, I've just, okay, those were the bad qualities. Then what I did, I just went to, so that we can see what it is that we should be aiming for, what it is that we should remove from the heart and replace it with what? Replace it with, I'm not going to go through all of them individually. We should replace it with these kinds of qualities. Now that, if we started here, you would say, of course, that's sincerity. And if we left it like that, then we wouldn't have known exactly how to become, if you're not, how do you become truthful? You'll say, okay, I don't lie, but I generally don't lie. And then you move on to the next. Am I loyal? Yes, generally, and you'll give you reasons why. And you will say, tick all of these boxes. But if you look at the opposites, it will make you sit up and ask, don't I have a little bit of that, or a little bit? And now you come back and you test whether you are sincere. Are you truly honest? And one will come to some of these things as we move on. But look at all the qualities and remind yourself that if you don't have that, don't claim you are sincere. You've got no right to claim you are sincere. You can say, say you sometimes lie, but you've got all the others. You've got all this, you tick it, you genuinely have that, and you believe it, and as far as you know, you've got all of that, but you admit to yourself, okay, there are times when I'm not 100% truthful. Can you say you are sincere? You can say, I am almost sincere, but you can't claim to be sincere. Sincere means you've rid yourself of all the bad things, and you filled your heart with all of that, and you've chucked out, moved, and I don't know what else, locked out all of the other bad qualities. There's no place for that in the heart. It's been replaced by all of these positive qualities. Now, to just pause there before I touch on the 3 levels of sincerity. Let me just pause there and hear if there are any comments or questions that anyone wish to raise or make at this stage. Let me stop the share.
Salie, and salam to everyone in the room. Just one question, and I kind of, it was mulling around my head when the study was speaking about this, was the fact that we understand sincerity to be the fact that we have a sense of honesty also with ourselves and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of all the actions and in the way that we conduct our lives. One might also ask the question, what sometimes would be the measure of our sincerity? Because we can also fool ourselves into thinking that we are sincere. There are many people walking around who claim themselves to be sincere in all of their actions, but without them realizing they are motivated by fame or by wanting people to like them, or there are some people who are so unaware of themselves that they will swear up and down that they are a certain way when they actually aren't. So I guess the question is, how does one make oneself aware of that because sometimes it's difficult for people to do introspection in that regard.
Okay, is there anyone else would like to maybe, before I respond to it, is there anyone else would like to maybe pose a question or make a comment?
May I,
Yes,
Kanana?
please do.
To me, and I also want to just respond to Muhammad Fasir. I think if one asks Allah to make us aware of what we are doing constantly, all these things that we are learning, and we just try and reflect on it and be aware of it, it can lead towards sincerity, but I don't think we can ever claim that we are truly sincere because there are so many very, very grades of shades of this quality that even when we think we are sincere, that's also a grade of a kind of insincerity. I'm just thinking like that.
Okay. All right. Now, the question that was asked by Muhammad Fasih about how do you really know what's the gauge and what is the test? Instead of answering it, I'm going to go to the next slide and let the slide speak to you. If the questions are still there, then inshallah, we will attempt to answer it. So what I will do, I will go to the actual slide. And the slide says there are basically, obviously, as Sister Warda said, there are many levels and levels within the levels of sincerity. How many, I don't know, but it's generally described as 3 levels. And the first level is the level of the average person, the person in the street. Not generally, not street people, but the average common person. They have sincerity, or they claim to have sincerity, but they basically do things because they've been instructed to do it. It comes out of their fear of disobeying what they've been instructed to do, or because they've been promised so much reward. Now, that's at a very basic level. These people are referred to as the people in terms of belief. They're at the level of the Sharia. They've got no other big motivating factors that drives what they do and what they don't do. But on top of that, they do what they are ordered to do because they have a crisis at home. I don't know where the money is going to come from. I must pay my rent at the end of the month, and my husband or wife has lost their job. So I want to be as sincere as I can now because I need a solution for that. That's the first level of sincerity. They need help or assistance with something, so they do things as best as they can, but the objective is actually they need a solution for that problem. That's at the first level. Many people, the average person, falls in that category. The second group are referred to as the elite. They operate at the level of Iman. Now, the people who are operating at the level of Iman have gone beyond just the physical observance of the Sharia, 5 arkans. They do what they must do, and they do it regularly and as best as they can, but they're confined to that level. the people at the level of Iman have actually gone beyond that. They understand what the different arkans of Iman is, and they've worked on it and they've made it part of their lives. And they've reached the point where they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they want to. They want to do what they are doing because they love Allah. They want to be near Allah. And they're not doing things because they've got this problem or that problem, or they need this assistance or that assistance. They believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they love Allah and their iman is strong. There's no obvious motive of why they believe. But even at this level, many people fall in this category also. They generally, they are sincere in their worship of Allah, and they do it to get closer to Allah. They love Allah, and yes, they believe in Jannah and Jahannam, but it's not only to achieve Jannah and to avoid Jahannam. It's not for that reason, but a part of their heart, a section in their heart, is still controlled by their nafs. The heart is not completely purified. Some of those qualities that we've mentioned earlier are still present in the heart, which means that the sincerity is not total, it's not complete, it's not 100%. Because the influence of the nafs, in fact, as I was preparing for this, I thought, although we spoke a lot about the nafs in previous sessions, we won't be able to complete this door. I'm going to speak more about the role of the nafs when it comes to sincerity. But so for now, to say that they are controlled by, to some extent, by their nafs, but generally they are sincere at a level that is beyond just I will get the benefit or if I do this and that, and I will be punished, so I don't do this, and yes, I will do that. And they are still guilty of doing things to show others. Ostentation, guilty of minor acts of ostentation. Ostentation means that you are doing it for show. You are showing others. You want to impress others. Now, because of some of the influences, especially of the nafs, within the heart still, it still has control over the heart. You are doing all the good things, but you can't help letting other people know about it. You want people to know that you are doing good. You want people to know that you are great at this or that, even if it's not about the deen. Maybe it's a game. Maybe you're a soccer player. And you come into a company that's got nothing to do. There's no interest in soccer, but everyone must know that you're a great soccer player. I've fallen in that trap. May Allah forgive me. Even as I'm going to say this now, I must test my heart with what I am saying it, because I could be saying it to give the impression that I am not what I am saying. I was very guilty of this when I was in Parliament as a member of Parliament. Parliament you refer to as the honorable member, and people bow when they address you, the people who attend to you, you've got a status. And that starts settling in on who and what you are. I've tried to guard against it, but it affected me without me even knowing. So I would be in a company and would find a way of letting people that I'm meeting for the first time, to let them know that I am either in parliament or I have been a member of parliament. And even now, maybe, may Allah forgive me, Ya Allah, I'm still a weak slave, help me. Maybe even mentioning it now, there might be somebody who didn't know I was a member of parliament. So now they hear, oh, Salie is a member of parliament. Or they did know, but now he's reminding them he was a member of parliament. It's so subtle, these things, that sometimes you don't know yourself, whether you were truly sincere and whether you did it for the right reason or not. We like to praise people. We like to praise people. I must get this hadith. Rasulullah heard one companion praising another companion in his presence. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said to the one who was doing the praising, not the one receiving the praising, he said to that Sahaba, do you know what you've done? So he said, I don't know, Rasulullah. Please tell me what I've done. He said, you've just cut the neck of your companion. I said, what have I done, Rasulullah? Rasulullah repeated it 3 times. He said, but I was praising the man. What we must extract from that hadith, I'll give you the exact hadith, inshallah, so that I don't quote things without coming up with the exact words. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tried to impress on us that it's not just yourself that you must watch out for, but when you praise or thank, although we instructed, we are told, you're not grateful to Allah if you are not grateful to people. So you express your gratitude to somebody, you might be cutting their neck. So this thing about sincerity is not something that one should treat lightly, because I think it's going to be a struggle that's going to go on and on and on and on. And let me just, in conclusion though, deal with the second category. These people are still guilty of minor acts of showing, doing things for show, what people loosely refer to as showing off, or boasting, or grandstanding. Then there's the third category. They are called the elite of the elite, without even knowing what's going to follow. Ask Allah to make us of those, that we get a grip on this and that we start traveling this path. Now, the elite of the elite are people who have arrived at the level of ihsan. First level was Sharia, second level was Iman. These people have arrived at the level of ihsan. We said ihsan can loosely be described. It's very difficult to accurately describe ihsan, but loosely it can be described in English as excellence, or striving for perfection, or human perfection, if one can call it that. Excellence in belief, their relationship with Allah and in their actions. They've arrived at that level of belief. They are referred to as the elite of the elite. They don't fear Jahannam. Or that doesn't motivate them because they've got this fear of Jahannam. Or, oh, they heard about Jannah and now they want to be in Jannah. They're not motivated by wanting to get these things that's being promised or stay away from the punishment. They do things purely for the sake of Allah, for the love of Allah. They love Allah and they do it for Allah's pleasure, but there is no hint of doing it for any other reason than purely for the sake of Allah. Now, how many of us say, we walk past one another, we say, why did you do that? No, I did it purely for Allah. Why? We use it so loosely and we examine what we're saying. Yes, there are times when we do things that is very sincere. Now, other than Allah has been removed from their hearts. What is other than Allah? The effect and the control of what is other than Allah on their hearts have been completely removed. These people have purified hearts. That is a pure heart. Not just sincere. Yes, they are sincere. They've acquired sincere belief in what they do and what they say, but their hearts have been purified. That nothing in their heart exists which is linked or part of the influence or the control of the shaitan, nafs, the dunya, or anything in creation. That heart is clean, absolutely clean, filled with the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah's love fills their heart completely. None of those other qualities exist. These are the people, the elite of the elite. And these are the people, the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the people that Allah really loves, because their love for Allah is unconditional. Subhanallah. Now they do things, they don't have to do things secretly or privately. Don't do that. Other people can see and then they're going to praise you. To them, it doesn't matter whether they do it publicly or privately. They've done it for Allah's sake. Their heart of why they are doing whatever they're doing publicly or secretly is for the sake of Allah. So it doesn't matter now who says what people see and what they don't see, and it doesn't matter to them. People can have whatever opinion. They know that their hearts are clean, it's pure. Nothing in their hearts, if they examine their hearts, nothing is there that is done for other than Allah. In other words, creation. Other than Allah is almost like another term that's used for creation in the general terms. So at this level, one should not be pleased nor disappointed, regardless of what others may think or may say, or how you may be viewed, if you are doing things purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are completely satisfied with just the knowledge that what they claim they have pure hearts, they know that Allah knows the state of their hearts. And that's enough for them. People might say, yeah, he's doing it for that reason, maybe this, maybe that, but also this, and find their reasons on the outside, judging that person. That person doesn't care what people say and what opinions they have. They know that Allah knows. That's good enough for them. It's good enough for them that Allah knows what's in their heart. And that puts them at ease So they do whatever they do, regardless of what others might say or think. So what I want to do, I want to actually end off there on that note, because we're going to have to continue with this. There's more to be said on this topic, and inshallah we hope to conclude on this one. But I want people, we are talking about purifying our hearts. Light on the tongue, difficult to achieve. In fact, it's a lifetime's task, because we live in the dunya. Shaitan has committed himself to try and deviate us from the path of good and righteousness until we die. And Allah has granted him that permission. Try what you want, do whatever you want to do. But Allah knows what Allah created. We have the potential to become of those people who will be able to withstand the onslaughts of shaitan. And the nafs lives inside all of us. The moment we are born, we have nafs. The moment we die, the nafs dies. So the challenge is enormous until the day we give up. Until the day we die, until our last breath, we will constantly have that challenge. And the one thing that will always come in is the question of sincerity. How do we block out insincere qualities and behavior to keep our heart pure? Because when the heart is pure, it's in a state where it can stand metaphorically in front of Allah and know that you have not allowed your heart to be ruled and controlled by the forces that's other than Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those people who will be able to stand there with what is referred to as qalbun salim, hearts that's tranquil, it's at peace, but not only the state of the heart, but the impurities, the dirt has been removed from the heart in all their forms. Last comments or questions that anyone would like to make? I'm going to open the floor and hear if there are any comments or questions that anyone would like to make.
The sound is off with the.
This is an enormous task that's lying ahead for all of us. I may be doing the speaking here and the presentation, but I can tell you that the task is enormous for me, because knowing what to do is only the first step. It's the doing that's the hard thing, because Allah wants to see whose conduct is the best. In other words, our actions, our behavior, and that's what's scary. How do we take the knowledge and make it work? How do we take the knowledge to achieve what we know we need to achieve with it? That is the difficult. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us, that we are able to do all of these things and that we are able to put our hearts in a better state. This is the quality of sincerity. Please take it seriously and examine your hearts with honesty. examine your actions with honesty. When you do things, reflect on why you are doing it and ask yourself, why am I saying this? Why am I doing this? The more you do that, the more conscious you will become of not just jumping into things and doing it and then reflecting afterwards, that you actually reflect on what your intentions are before you actually do anything. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I'm going to ask Muhammad Fasir just to make the closing dua for us.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى سيدنا محمد وأصحابه بارك وسلم اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختم لنا بالخير واجعل أواكب أمورنا بالخير بيدك الخير والعافية إنك على كل شيء قدير دعواهم فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحية فيها سلام وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب